Katharine Hepburn was in her 20s, right? It feels very much like she is teenager in the beginning. That is just the power of Katharine Hepburn.
She makes it work. I was actually planning to buy Katharine Hepburn's biography, the one that she wrote herself, because I want to hear what were her thoughts about Little Woman. That would be interesting.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine. I hope she would say there that she had a good time, because sometimes you will hear certain actors to be like, oh, I love this movie and I love this role. And then they go like, oh, I hated doing it. I think she liked it.
Yes, I think so. We talked about this earlier. There are people who complain that she was not pretty enough to play Jo, but Jo is not written to be conventionally beautiful. And Katharine Hepburn was this tall woman, and she has sort of an angular face.
There was a movie where she dressed up to be a guy with Cary Grant. She has very androgynous appearance.
And then we have Douglas Montgomery, who played Laurie, and he's more effeminate.
Yes, very pretty.
Yes, a very pretty guy.
Casting in this was very good. They were great, and I think that the story went really well. It followed through the story, and without them saying, like, oh, 2 years have passed, instead of saying Meg getting engages to marry John, they didn't have to get all that to know that time has passed. The story told itself, and the actors made it go, oh, they are growing up. So I think that is a bonus. If you would have to put into a spot at the moment, where would you want to put it?
I think this goes pretty high on my list.
I am thinking of number 2 or number 3 at the moment.
I think it is going to be my number 3 at the moment.
I am just going to, put it down to my little notepad so I don't forget.
Paul Lucas, who plays Professor Bear, he was from Hungary.
Yes, and I actually remember that because I was just looking at my post I made about Friedrich and the different actors and their nationalities, because the next one, Trasnobrazi, he is Italian. He's probably one of my favorite Friedrichs.
It has been a while since I saw the 1933 version, but I think it also has the scene where Friedrich plays the piano and Jo is listening.
I just remembered the words, my senses fail, the burning desire devours me. That is the poem that is at the music.
Yes, Goethe. It is perfect because Louisa May Alcott loved Goethe, and he was one of the models for Friedrich's character. Whoever wrote the 1933 film, I guess they knew about it, and it makes me so happy.
One thing I will say about the 1933 version, I think it was a good starting off for the Jo and Friedrich shippers. It is not as much as in the book, but it is still pretty good. There is the piano scene, but then you also have their first meeting. It shows off who he is very clearly, great with kids, helpful to the staff, and a gentleman. I think the overall vibe that the film has is probably one of the best of the adaptations of book to screen.
I think there is even a moment when he asks Jo if he could write to Jo's father. He wants Jo's father's permission before he is going to ask Jo to marry him.
That is right before she goes, oh yeah, I have been writing about you to them. That is when she finds about Beth being sick and she goes home. I remember that. This is one of the versions, I think, if you are going to introduce Little Women to anyone, this is one of the ones that you start with.